Hello and all, and welcome to another episode of Speaking Through the Fog. My name is, as always, Miranda Largaspada, and it's been a crazy week. I've had a lot of new doctor's appointments, people I've never seen before, just trying to get everything all situated after I got back from the clinic in Florida, and getting fundraising started, talking to foundations for chronic fatigue. It's been just nuts anyways, but in a lot of my fundraising videos I talked about the CPET test, which is cardiopulmonary exercise test. I seem to be able to remember that better than the see, I'm blanking on it again. A systemic exertion intolerance disease, which is what chronic fatigue is classified as now. And I described it a little bit in my video asking for help, but basically it chronic fatigue was changed from a syndrome to a disease because of this test, which served as a biomarker, which is a biological symptom, scientific information that can actually confirm a symptom. And it's been years since they've known about chronic fatigue syndrome, and this is the first real solid evidence of what people have been saying, which is for this particular symptom it would be post-exertional malaise, meaning people will say, you know, I don't get it, I exercise and I'm tired, and if I do anything too physical it'll make my symptoms get worse, my baseline get worse. So the cardiopulmonary exercise test is a test originally designed for people with cardiac or lung issues to see how their heart reacts or the lung reacts to exercise. Sorry, again, this is my thing. Athletes use it actually to test where their topping off point is, basically like how far and hard can I go before I can't go anymore, so that way they can run marathons and know just how much they can push it. So they thought maybe if we use this test on chronic fatigue syndrome sufferers, it can show us something, and it did, and that's really exciting. So what it physically tests is they put people on either a treadmill or a stationary bike, and they basically have them start exercising and increase the resistance until the person is literally exercising as hard as they can. They're at the most that they can, and the test itself probably lasts only about 15 minutes from my research. And they test your oxygen output, and what they're trying to find is, and let me look a little bit at my research here, your anaerobic threshold, so the point your body has turns from supplementing your muscles with normal oxygen, and your metabolism is still burning oxygen, and then it quits doing that and starts creating lactic acid, and they measure where this threshold is by finding the point in which carbon dioxide it's producing faster than you are producing oxygen. So they have this whole big equation that they talk about a lot in my research, but it's, I mean, a little, you know, complicated and not that important to people who aren't, like, you know, scientists researching this and stuff, but it did show, they found that people with chronic fatigue syndrome, it's really important that they take the test 2 days in a row. And that's because the first day, you know, they might show that they're a little bit out of shape, but considering most of the people who have chronic fatigue syndrome are unable to walk around and do stuff, that would make sense. I mean, you look at me, I'm a little bit overweight because I can't exercise. So it's obvious I'm going to get on one of those machines and probably die die within like 4 minutes. Just, I can't do it anymore. And they're going to be like, okay, well, you obviously don't exercise very much. But how they really test and show what happens with people with chronic fatigue syndrome is they're pushing you to the breaking point. And most people can go to the breaking point, and then the next day they can come in and exercise and kind of replicate the results from the first day. So do just as much the second day. Chronic fatigue syndrome people, however, even 24 hours later, show that they hit that anaerobic threshold almost right away. Like, they don't recover. They're still as bad as when they had gotten off the machine the first day. So this is like something that people with chronic fatigue syndrome cannot fake. This is something that shows, you know, there's no way I could subconsciously tell my body to do this. It's just too complicated, and it actually printed out on data shows that when I exercise, I cannot recover. It makes me sick. And it also it has a useful factor to it. It's not just to prove for chronic fatigue sufferers that they're actually sick, which is actually a big deal to chronic fatigue sufferers, but it also gives them a stopping point. So basically it says, like the athletes, this is when you start that anaerobic threshold and start to get sick. So you need to stop when your heartbeat reaches 110 beats per minute, usually is the threshold, but it could be anywhere from, 78, or you may be resting does it, or upwards towards where healthy people are, so you get a heart rate monitor, and then it beeps when you're supposed to stop. And so if you're making dinner and you're just doing too much and it starts beeping, you get something basically to help you make the decision of, do I want to be sick, or do I want to sit down for a second, let my heart rate get down and rest? So this is a great application for people suffering from chronic fatigue. The only thing about this test is it sounds great, right? Like, if you're suffering from chronic fatigue, you're going, oh my gosh, sign me up. I want to do this. This is great. This is going to be proof. This is going to help me get better. This is going to make me not maybe pass out or be in my bed for 2 weeks. But you have to make a decision when you take the test whether or not you want to make yourself potentially more sick, because as anybody knows who has chronic fatigue syndrome, every time you push yourself to the breaking point, every time you do something really hard like this, you are running the risk that your baseline is going to go down. The testing facility, some of the research I was reading and some of the interviews, they said a lot of people take 2 months or more to recover from the test, and sometimes they don't ever recover. So you've got to really think about if it's worth it to you to take that step down in your health. Me personally, it is, because I am not at the last stages of chronic fatigue. And the other thing is, if you're applying for disability, which a lot of people who have chronic fatigue they can't work. The only way they really accept disability when you have chronic fatigue as the main reason is if you have this anaerobic test, because it's showing them that you can't work. Whereas if you don't have this, they, in their minds, you're just, chronic fatigue, maybe you could still work, especially if you're young and you look pretty healthy. So, yeah, it's just really weighing the pros and cons and making that decision. Again, for me, it's something that I think I need, and it's something really exciting, and maybe they can use my test to do research. The other consideration when you're thinking about thinking about doing the cardiopulmonary exercise test is that it's still not commonly used for chronic fatigue. In fact, if you go to your doctor and ask to get the test, most of the time they're going to tell you no, because they're going to say, no, we can't get it approved for that, where it's only for cardiac patients. And if you try to explain it to them, they act completely like confused. Like, I've never heard of it being used for chronic fatigue syndrome. And they might even like, okay, like, you're definitely making this one up, kind of thing. So, yeah, so there's only a few places who know how to do the proper test. It has to be 2 days. And that is approved to do it for chronic fatigue syndrome. And one of those is the WorkWell Foundation in California. In fact, that's the only one I could find who does that. And they were the first people to really, outside of some of the, like, people searching for a cure, they were the first, and then they were a division of the Pacific University, and then they broke off and became the WorkWell Foundation. And when I contacted them, they want $2,500 down payment up front before they'll even make an appointment. They don't have a billing department, so you can't have them bill your insurance. You can ask them for a bill to bill your insurance later, but it doesn't really help if you don't have steady income coming in. And because where are you going to just scrape up $2,500? So that's another consideration if you're listening to me going, yeah, this is what I need. I have a fundraiser going, trying to get this test done for me. If you would like, I would totally suggest you doing a fundraiser. If I do raise the $2,500 and I somehow like make it into where I can, break into people other than my friends and family donating, and I get more than $2,500, I really hope that I can maybe set up a foundation to help out other chronic fatigue sufferers, get money for things they need, like testing, or, just because the only things that they really help out right now is for medication. And I found one site that helps for utility bills, and it's really hard to get in contact with them. So and the Lupus Foundation and a lot of the other diseases like chronic fatigue have some really good foundations giving money, and chronic fatigue just doesn't. So if I could get money raised for this, it would be awesome. I just would love to start a foundation like that. But this is all dreams, and in the future, right now, I'm just trying to get money for me to do it. So, anyways, that is the information on the cardiopulmonary exercise test. If you like this video, like it on YouTube or subscribe to my blog through my website. You can also, if you so desire, check out my fundraising page. It's pages.giveforward.com/medical/page-551MT93, and either donate, spread the word, share it on Facebook or on a social media site, and just, continue watching. Thank you.